No one cares, Isabel.
Animal Crossing New Horizons is quite a fun game. It was in fact my first and only Animal Crossing game, but there is one character I've always had suspicions about. Zipper T. No, not really, but of course he is evil too, but everyone knows that. The character I've gotten evil vibes from is no other than Tom Nook. This Tanuki has had evil intentions from the beginning. First of all, the intentions for the character. In Japan, he is called Tanukichi, which is the mix between Tanuki and what in Japan, Kechi means stingy. Yes, Tom Nook is literally a greedy god. It says it in his Japanese name. Tom Nook at the beginning of each game lends you a tent or house and a few key items. Seems kind of nice to lend these items to a complete stranger. Well, you're wrong. In return, he asks that you pay a super high sum of money for the trip down and the key items. That means days of your character's back-breaking labor just to be able to pay back this tycoon, along with using countless resources you've collected. And whenever you want to improve your conditions, he does in fact improve them. But what? Another super duper whooper high price to pay back? It's exponentially higher. In New Horizons, it costs more to build one room than the house. It costs $98,000 to build the house itself. In order to add one room, it's 198,000 more bells. One single room costs more than the house itself. A second room is 298,000. A third, 598,000. What about a fourth? That's 758,000. How about an upstairs? 1,298,000. And a basement? 2,498,000. So you're telling me that a basement costs 25.5 times the initial cost of the house? That's quite unfair. The entire house costs 5,696,000 bells. Plus you have to pay to move a neighbor's house? 50,000. And tell me, why is he making me pay to move a shop? And all the other villagers, don't have to pay a dime. He must really have a grudge against the player. But the fact that he is making the player pay so much instead of the other villagers is quite shocking. But what, no interest over time? A simple trick. The time he estimates for the original price and interest to accumulate ends up at around the cost of what he charges you. And look at this. You can buy a Nintendo Switch in the game for 29,980 bells, and a refrigerator costs 60,000. A refrigerator is 2 times the cost of a Switch. A real refrigerator costs about $3,000 to $4,000, a Switch being $400. A real fridge is 7 times the cost of a Switch. That means if a Switch cost and the fridge cost is proportional to real life, a Switch in this game would cost 8,000 bells. Tom Nook is scamming the player out of all their money.
I'll try
Spending.
That's a good trick.
More of this evidence comes from his backstory. Occasionally, when you enter Tom Nook's shop, he will be deep in thought. And if you talk to him, he says this: "Well, actually, I was just thinking about the good old days, I know it seems that the world is my oyster, what with my fine shop, but in my childhood, I lived the kind of life you couldn't imagine. Yes, but this was all some time ago, before I moved to this town, Of course, I was born in our lovely town, but I moved away for a time. Yes, the city years, I like to call them. I was a raccoon of action, The big city certainly had its charms, but it had its pitfalls as well. Indeed, I had to endure certain hardships that I have never spoken of, Hard to believe, yes? You're probably asking yourself, what the heck is Nook talking about, For now, maybe it's best that we forget we ever talked about this. So what is he talking about? Tom Nook was a very innocent child at first, it seems. But when he moved to the city, he endured many hardships and pitfalls. If he is so good at scamming out the player in the game, then how did he make it out in the city on top? He conned everyone out of their money. And my last piece of evidence is this. In Phineas and Ferb, the second dimension, or whatever the name is, alternate Doofenshmirtz loses his toy train, and his outcome is he takes over the entire tri-state area, making everyone his almost slaves. Whatever hardships Tom Nook went through as a child must be exponentially worse than Doofenshmirtz. In order to see this, I'm going to assign the hardships they went through and their outcome with a number out of 10. I'm going to assign Doofenshmirtz losing his train a 1, and him taking over the tri-state area with an 8. Tom Nook's hardships are probably a 10, since it seems pretty awful. So in proportionality, that gives Tom Nook an evil outcome of 80. Tom Nook is quite the evil boy. So now I'll throw in some honorable mention theory ideas I had. Isabelle and all the other non-villager NPCs are mass-produced clones assigned a spy on and help ruin the player character's life. Tom Nook is sitting at home controlling his own mass-produced clones as he scams every Animal Crossing player in existence out of all their money. He probably has complete control of the Earth and human race by this point.